How's it going, everyone? Deadly TV here. Two topics for this video. One, it's my progress in Diablo 3 with my wizard, and just some things I've tweaked, and now that I actually have a way to run rifts, and maybe I'm going to obviously run a rift tonight. And two, I want to talk about something that I think is important for many people to hear if you are struggling with mental health issues. Specifically, I mean, anxiety and depression is probably the two most common, and the two most common diagnoses that get thrown around that people live with every day. And of course, just to preface this video, there's a huge range of the scale here. Just because you aren't like bedridden and not doing anything with your life, that doesn't mean that you're not depressed. You can be very high functioning and be depressed. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert here on anything. So in terms of music, I have a really old playlist. There's everything from Ghost on here to Killswitch Engage to Suicide Silence. So there's going to be a bit of a weird kind of mix going on here. But I've had issues with such problems in the past, and I've kind of hinted at that in past videos if you have stuck around. And lately, I've been doing better with certain things, but worse with certain things as well. And I think that's kind of apparent through my YouTube career, and how I'm trying to really keep trucking forward, even though there might not be complete success, and try not to choke on failure as much as I used to in the past. So let's talk about happy things first. So I kind of have my shit together with my wizard, so to speak. I'm running a Talrasha set right now, and I'm kind of running it the way I want to. I always kind of take a build and I tweak it to make sense, because some of the stuff on Icy Veins, I have no idea what those guys are doing to get those builds or how they get them working properly. So side note, the Holiday Brew from Mountain Dew, Code Red Mountain Dew, so good. They do these limited edition runs of Mountain Dew. I know I'm such like the typical like gamer persona, like I drink Mountain Dew, but honestly it's when I do drink soda, it's my preferred soda. But the red, white, and blue one was also very good as well, around 4th of July. So this is what I'm running. I'm running Talrasha's set. I'm running Traveler's Pledge and the Compass Rose. The wizard kind of plays a lot like how my necromancer plays, I'm starting to realize. I'm using Mantle of Channeling with Death Wish because I'm using Arcane Torrent. I'm using these boots just because I like them, and if you take notice, I kind of just made her look very basic, and I gave her a very rainbow sword just because I thought it looked cool. And I have a pony, so it's like double win. Also, what gems I'm using. So I'm also using Nemesis Bracers just so I can spawn shit quicker while I'm doing rifts. Really, I could switch those out if I find an issue, but those bracers are pretty good. And I'm using these boots, and again, those can be switched out as well. I am using a Minald Heal because using shock. I'm using the shock, storm armor, not shock armor, and static discharge with Arcane Torrent. And with that ring, I have Teguk, rank 30 so far. I've been leveling that up just because I'm using a channeling spell. On my other ring, the Compass Rose, I'm using the Gizzard, the good old Gizzard. Just because I feel like it just helps with survivability a lot. And I'm using Bane of the Trapped because everything gets pretty close to me, and I am using controlled impairing effects. Might switch that out, not sure to yet, but yeah, pretty standard stuff here. And for the Kunai's Cube, or Kunai's Cube, why don't I call it Kunai? There's no U. Is Kunai's Cube? I'm using Orb of Infinite Depth because I'm using Explosive Blast. I'm using Aquilia Curus because really, I'm using a lot of abilities that use Arcane Power, but I channel it quicker, so really the survivability on this build is actually pretty good. Like, it's actually you'll survive more than you realize. I can do Torment 13, like normal rips with this. It takes a bit longer than I want to, so I think that there needs to be a bit more fine-tuning, and maybe down the line, equipment adjustments as well, or skill adjustments, but T13, very easy to do. I haven't seen what Greater Rift I can do perfectly straightforward yet, but I'm using the Halo of Karini, because I'm using Storm Armor, that's why. And for my skills, Arcane Torment, Psych Discharge, Teleport with Calamity, Explosive Blast with Chain Reaction, Blizzard, Snowbound. That's just so I can, with Talrasha, you want to go through as many different sort of, so like, you know, Static Torrent is lightning, Storm Armor is lightning, Explosive Blast is fire, I also have Calamity is arcane, and when you have all four elements, there you go, jeez, I almost forgot the word, all working together, you can get those meteors to splash down. That's the whole point of using Talrasha. And I'm using Conduit just to keep making restoring the arcane power quick, and I'm using Power of the Storm again just to make sure I'm retaining arcane power as high as possible for Aqueous Curus to help me out here. And Snowbound just makes it, like I said, it does a lot of damage, and it's just something else I can use. But I really focus on using this as well as Arcane Torrent. I use Unstable Anomaly for a bit of survivability. Saves me from getting my ass kicked. Unwavering Will, because you are spending a lot of time just standing still here. You teleport to stun enemies and just to get to maybe some health globes or just get out of a really bad situation. Paralysis does, like I said, that works wonders. It pairs extremely well with Minald Ring, and I'm also using Arcane Torrent, so lightning spells, awesome. And stunning enemies also helps as well because I'm using Bane of the Trapped, and Audacity just because it gives you more damage for the enemies within 15 yards. So, okay, we're gonna play a little bit, scratching my butt there for a little bit, but we're gonna talk about how to kind of get through and hopefully changing your perspective. It takes time. Changing your perspective on things takes time. I mean, even take playing a video game, for instance. You can get frustrated with playing the video game, and you would want to get better, of course, but so you might do things. You might hit your desk. You might even hit yourself, which I don't recommend doing. You know, bad. I've been a culprit of smacking myself around when I've felt like I messed up or something during a game. But the hardest thing, I guess the hardest thing I've always kind of dealt with was, why are these here? Was struggling with school. Not like I've always been a bad student or unintelligent, but I've always held high standards for myself. And if you're the type of person that holds high standards for yourself, you're always going to be hard on yourself. But it's normal as human beings to have such emotions, to feel like you're not perfect, you know, and some of us, for one reason or another, want to feel like we're perfect all the time. I wish I was a perfect person. I wish I never had to let anybody down. I think one of the worst things that I personally deal with is letting my parents down. I hate to see them upset, and that's something that gets me down a lot. Not so much that my personal failures, because I'm hard on myself as it is, so when I see that they get upset as well, it kind of hurts even worse as well, if that makes sense. So when you have kind of like more exterior forces going against you, it makes things a lot harder than they need to be. So definitely having a support system. I'm not saying that everyone's parents are not supportive, or even my parents aren't supportive. Cancer Bats are playing right now too, if you're wondering. I think We Came as Romans was playing next, or last, but because your parents mean well, of course they do. This is gonna be really easy to do too, by the way. Like I said, I'm just kind of playing. This is more or less talking, less than playing, but it gives you something cool to look at. And I'll probably go on a Diablo tangent, as I always do, but, you know, moving on from failure, here are things that, even though you might have these exterior forces, whether it be your friends not being the most motivating for you, or telling you negative opinions about the situation you're in, I am very lucky and I have some very supportive friends. I have a very supportive partner as well. I have a very supportive sister. If it wasn't for them, I don't know what I'd do, honestly. So, if you are around toxic people, cut those people out of your life. Honestly, that's the best thing you can do. If people are, I'm not saying like, because again, you're probably a nice person, and you want to be there for your friends as well, that's fine. But you have to understand the difference between being there for somebody and then being taken advantage of too. That's a whole topic for another video, finding toxic people, narcissists, sociopaths, and people with other personality disorders that honestly, no matter what you do, you're not going to get through to them. And that is the unfortunate and sad truth. You are unqualified to help with them, and you can try to support them and try to lead them in the right direction to get professional help. Now for yourself here, I think I prefaced this video, because this is the second take of this video just because I had a horrible coughing fit in the first take of the video. Depression and anxiety go hand in hand, I feel like, and there are things that I've suffered with too, with, like, I won't get into my treatment or anything like that, or how I've dealt with things. I'll talk about the more holistic things, because you can't recommend, you can't recommend, because some people think that smoking weed or doing X drug, I'm just going to put drugs, including marijuana, kind of in the same category, even though one's a plant, but all drugs were, you know, in some way or another, you know, like for example, furosemide, Lasix, was derived from a Native American plant. I forget which one. Actually, met the co-founder, co-inventor of Lasix at work. Lasix is a diuretic, makes you pee, lowers your blood pressure too. We use it for people who, you know, have edema. We need to get fluid out of them. You know, heart failure, various reasons why you can go on for a while, lower your blood pressure, but it makes you pee. That's one of the big things. And you know, you give through IV, pill form. So anyway, like I said, I digress. So I don't recommend drugs for anybody, because your body reacts differently to everything. So and there's so many different strands of marijuana out there that that's why I hope that it does become legalized everywhere, so that there are dispensaries and you can sit down with a doctor who is honestly very well trained in cannabis use and THC use, so they can experiment with you in a safe, legal way on how to manage your symptoms, whether it be pain, anxiety, or, you know, a combination of all those things. So I don't recommend drugs to people right away. I'm the least straight edge person I know, probably. Believe me, I know how to have a good time. But I can't recommend certain things for people, just because everyone's body is different. Everyone's wiring is different as well too. So what works for you might not work for somebody else. But I can tell you why though, I don't care who you are, having toxic people in your life will drag you down. It will drag you down very, very quickly. And it's hard when these people may have been in your life or you love them. I think it's the hardest part is when your relationship with this person. It could be a close family member, someone that you're intimate with, a best friend. But that's something that was really hard for me to do, was really realizing that this person is psychologically tormenting you. Oh god, that was very hard. But once you move on, there is nothing else that you can do to help this person that is really beyond your control, and they need professional help. It makes you sad because you can't help but wonder what this person could be when they're doing well. And that's the thing, you might see them when they're well. Hell, you might even see yourself when you're doing well, and you might wonder, why can't I be this way all the time? It's human nature not to be your best all the time, but like I said, there are certain people out there that take that and they use it to manipulate you. And I tell you what, like I said, it takes someone above my pay grade, I'm sure a lot of other people's pay grades out who are listening to this video right now, to recognize that. It's tough. It really is. Especially when you're just meeting somebody. Psychology states that you really get to know somebody, a partner, you know, someone that you're intimate with, or a friend, after 2 years of knowing them, because you really get to see them. And if they are faking something, that mask will slowly come off. When that mask comes off, you expose them, and they usually run. They run for the hills. They're cowards, essentially. And that's, I think, the most, it's bittersweet, I want to say. It's not funny, it's not sad, because it's the best thing for you, but, so, let's just say, if you're trying to recover from a breakup and you're in a deep, you know, state of sadness and depression, been there, done that. Like I said, I'm not going to get into anything too personal, just because this is the internet, and you never know what's going to happen. So, there are those few weeks you're going to face, I mean, it could take a long time. They say that they, meaning like psychologists, you know, people who have done studies and read books, or wrote books, read books, but, or done research, they say that takes about half the time of the relationship to really recover. Now, everyone's different. I know if like a guy friend fucks me over, done. Girl I've been with for 6 months, I'm gonna be heartbroken for a long time. It could be double the time. You know, like I said, everyone's different on how you cope with things. And we can talk about coping methods too. I'm trying to get to that point too. I said I really wanted this video to be under 20 minutes. I feel like I'm rambling a lot, and I'm sorry, but this is something I'm really passionate about. So, and I feel like it's something that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. But learning from it is the best thing you can do. Is finding the silver lining. That, yeah, that person may have not been right for you, or that situation may have not gone your way, but we can learn from it. If everything in our lives went perfect, it would be very boring. There has to be yin and yang. There's balance in the universe. The universe is trying to reach this state of entropy, and I think about everything is in a state of flux. Our bodies are always trying to maintain a regular temperature, and energy is constantly being transferred. We're constantly using energy, and our body's trying to maintain what we put into it. Calories. Our pancreas tries to produce insulin to compensate for the sugar I'm putting into myself. It's a lot of things. There's just always a balance, and we're always trying to strive for that balance. So when there's a lot of good things happening, there's always has to be bad things. It's how we take those bad things. I recognize that bad things happen, and it's not anything against you personally. Really, it's a universal. It's universal. It's not even a problem. It's just a universal. It's just a universal law of nature, honestly, that bad things happen. And believe me, I wish I could explain to you why certain things happen to good people or bad people. I've dealt with people who, you know what the saddest part is? I've dealt with people who've told me that they've had cancer, who they didn't have cancer, they faked it. And being in the medical field, I've dealt with people who have had cancer, who have cancer, dealing with it. And I've experienced not close family members, but you know, like relationships, father, deal with cancer, and it's terrible. I don't know who deserves it. I do think there's some pretty despicable people in the world, but cancer is one of those things that it's rough. It's really rough, and I don't think there's. I really don't know what to say about that. Like, that's one of those things that it's one of the most difficult things I would say you would have to deal with, especially when a child of all people deals with cancer. We'll save those boots, actually. So, digressing from that point, so certain things are they just suck. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Certain things that there is no silver lining. And if you can find a silver lining, you're probably a better person than me. I'm a pretty cynical and nihilistic person. At least I try to come off as that, just because that's how I protect myself. And being that way has its benefits, but it's also self-destructive in nature as well, just because at the grand scheme of things, we live, we die. That's the only thing that we technically know. The rest of that time is ours to fill the gap. Whatever happens afterwards, I personally don't know. I have my own personal beliefs. Maybe we'll save that for another video as well. Because I've had experiences on both sides of the spectrum throughout my life, which have been interesting. But you can also wish for revenge, but I really hate to sound cliche here, but honestly, success is the best revenge. You might wish physical harm on the person. Let's just say if someone, I don't know, or like you fail a test, you know, you might just think that it's the end of the world. You know what? I'm not discounting your feelings, but you will be able to recover from that. You know, if you have to take another class to increase your GPA, do some extra credit work, just study harder, learn from the mistake. Because I tell you what, I'm not a straight A student. I wish I was, but I consider myself very intelligent. School is just not my forte. When you tell me to learn something, I tend to rebel. I'd much rather be reading about. It's funny. If I took like an astronomy class, I'd probably hate reading about the stuff. But I find space extremely intriguing in the universe on my own merit. Which that's just the way my mind works. I'm my own worst enemy. I'm sure most of you are out there can be your own worst enemy. You know what? The strength that you will get one day and how to rebound is really learning from the mistakes. And your mistakes do not make you. They're just minor speed bumps. Now, of course, some mistakes are more severe than others, and some of those mistakes may have consequences that you weren't exactly prepared for, but with proper mental training, whether that be therapy, meditation, pharmaceuticals, or other drug use, you may find balance. It's kind of odd. I always find myself, when I'm ever happy, I almost have to bring myself down to the point of equilibrium, because I'm like, okay, things are going too good right now. What bad thing is around the corner? And that could just be me being really paranoid as well. Like I said, I'm also a very paranoid person. You know, excessive worry, anxiety. You know, is this going to be good enough, or, you know, what could possibly go wrong, or what will go wrong, you know, etc., etc. So, I guess, as I'm finishing this rift here, after I'm done with this, we'll end the video. So I'll do my best to start wrapping this up. Learn from your mistakes. Really take the time to do the steps of grieving. Don't try to expedite the process. I tell you what, when I was, growing up, some of my funks would get. All right, I think that is a bit too heavy right now. That's a good one. This is a good one to end on. Kill switch engage. Element of 1. Some of the I mean, I would get into these funks that would last for weeks or for I have like 3 good weeks and 1 bad week, and or vice versa, and I wondered maybe am I bipolar? And that's the thing. When you Google your symptoms, everyone could be bipolar, everyone could be borderline, everyone could be, this or that. It takes a trained professional with years of experience and education to diagnose somebody, not a 10-second BuzzFeed quiz to see if you have a mental illness. There's a lot that goes into being diagnosed, and most of those things, you don't want to. You don't want to go around telling someone that you're ill. If you get off on the fact that you're telling someone that you're ill, or you like to talk about your illnesses, I find that very disturbing, and that's, in a sense, a very odd and alarming aspect to someone. Avoid those people. Believe me, it's odd and alarming when someone's too open at first. But your rebound time will vary, but the more you learn about yourself and you learn that it's okay to fail, as long as you learn from it and you can improve from it and not to make the same mistake twice. If you keep making the same mistake over and over and over again and you're not learning, then you have to look in the mirror and really think, I gotta get my shit together. If you keep failing tests, then you really gotta do some real deep thinking and maybe get help in a different way. And that could be anything. It's like if for example, if drinking is a problem for you, you need to get to the root of the issue. Like, if you keep repeating the same issue over and over and over again, and it's not getting better, and you're not learning, or you're gonna fool yourself by saying, I'm gonna get better. It takes effort. It takes a lot of effort. It takes so much effort. It's crazy. Mental health takes a lot of effort, and it will be an everyday battle. Depression, anxiety just doesn't. I mean, for some people, it comes and goes, but it's a daily struggle. It's something that it's not something that anyone can see. Yes, there are physical aspects to it as well. I guess you could look at it that way. You can tell when someone's anxious. They might start have some certain amount of tics or whatever. And the more get to know someone, you can understand that. But you really, it's not like it's a broken bone where you see it getting better, or you go to the doctor and get a lab test done and say, oh, my depression is at a 2 today, instead of last week it measured at an 8. Like, it's all subjective in a way, because there's very limited objective data. And yes, there have been MRI scans and different tests done on the brain that have shown people with depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses have a different chemical structure in the brain. People who say that doesn't exist are just ignorant. Don't listen to those people. Please don't. If someone tells you you can snap out of your depression, or you can just move on, get over it, don't listen to that person. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're not equipped, or they don't care enough to listen to you. They're not I'm just turning off the music right now. They're not equipped for that. And not everyone is. You have to be careful who you speak to, of course. You can't tell everyone your problems. Some people will gossip and spread your shit to other people, which I think is wrong and it sucks. You just have to be very careful who you trust. And that takes time as well. Trust is one of those things. Trust is one of those things that you honestly, that takes time. You shouldn't trust easily right away. I'm very against that. That takes time, but this all takes time, and I wish there was a clear-cut way to really get through things, like get through difficult times, but try to see the silver lining. Try to turn a bad situation into a good one. Or not a good one, because like I said, there's certain things that are just shitty. And you have to go through a process of grieving to get through it. And however, what you need to do that, whether it be professional help, talking with people, medication, that's entirely personal. Everyone is different in that regard. But learning from it. And try not to dwell in the past too much. Dealing with the past is important because you need to start to accept that it's there. There's a lot of memories and reasons why we are the way we are. Things that have happened from childhood even. And that's tough. That's really tough. That's, I'm getting past the point of the length of this video, but if you do need help, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Don't stay silent. Talk to somebody. Talk to the right people, the ones that will care. Hell, if you stuck around for the entire video, message me. I will talk to you. I will try to say the right thing. I'm not perfect. I deal with my own shit. But you know what? A lot of us do feel the same way. And that's one thing that we all can kind of, not that misery loves company or anything like that, but you'd be surprised of how many people really hide their emotions and their problems that are dealing with similar things as you. Some people are just more transparent than others. With that, I'm gonna close this video and wish you a very, very good night and a very good day, depending on when you're watching this. And I really hope that you are doing okay. And that if you are struggling right now, don't be ashamed of that. And I can't guarantee you that things will get better, because I'm not some sort of prophet and I can't see into the future. But as long as you learn from your mistakes or the situation that you're in, I can guarantee that you can make things better. And taking self-responsibility for some of those issues. No one likes a pity party either. There are many topics I've covered in this video that I would love to elaborate further. I'm going to probably rewatch this because I don't script any of my stuff. But just because it's a subject that I feel passionate about, and I'm not going to spout some hopefully crazy nonsense. I'd like to think that the stuff I talk about is stuff that I've researched into, and that I'm hopefully that whoever listens can be trusted, or can trust me to a certain extent, that I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Believe me, I'm not going to tell someone, there's no cure-all. There's not a cure-all for anything. But, hang in there. And I guess see you in the next video. And I hope that I didn't bum you out or anything. Jeez, I don't know what to title this video. This is just, this is kind of what I want to talk about, just because of what I've been going through recently. Alright guys, see you. I thought I hit my stop recording key. That's very awkward, I'm sorry. But since I switched to my webcam, I have to hit this button. So, see ya as I gaze into the webcam.